This is the Authentically Rachel podcast. I'm your host, Rachel. I'm so glad you're here and so glad you're listening. To live is to give. That's my life motto, and that's precisely what this podcast is going to be about. One of the many ways I've learned to give is simply by encouraging others. You see, I was internally decapitated when my car was broadsided by a truck. In layman's terms, my skull was separated from my spine. I fell into a month-long coma and was partially paralyzed for months. I'll never be fully healed this side of heaven. However, God gave me a miracle, and my near physical recovery caused a stir in the media. A year after my accident, I had the opportunity to personally thank the firefighters who saved my life. And let's be real here, what 23-year-old woman wouldn't want to meet and hang out with a bunch of firemen? The fire station was shut down and local news crews were there to document the experience. That's when I first heard the words internal decapitation. And the very next morning, the Today Show called wanting to have me on. I knew I broke ligaments and bones, but I never heard the words internal decapitation before then. Sensational terms like that go a long way in selling articles and getting clicks and views, but the truth is, not every significant life story generates the types of headlines mine did. It wasn't until I did a podcast with the ministry of Joni Eareckson Tada, Joni and Friends, when I realized that this world needs authentic, Christ-centered conversations. And that's exactly what this podcast aims to provide. Joni once stated, "God permits what he hates to accomplish what he loves." I mean, he even permitted the death of his own son to accomplish what he loves most, salvation for those who believe. The widow of missionary Jim Elliot, Elizabeth Elliot, once wrote, and I quote, "I give him my deaths, and he gives me his life. My sorrows, he gives me joy. My losses, he gives me his gains. This is the great principle of the cross," unquote. Jesus gave us the greatest gift we could ever receive, his death and resurrection. God has given everyone stories that inspire and encourage others. So instead of falling into the trap of complacency and forgetting them, let's share them and build others up in the process. Now that I've had several audio podcasts under my belt, I'm expanding. So check out these conversations on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or even my website, authentically-rachel.com, and leave me a comment and review. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, and if you have a story, I'd love to share it. I'll be sharing more of what the media didn't share in my story, as well as having uplifting conversations with those willing to share their struggles, both great and small. Thank you so much for joining me, and welcome to Authentically Rachel.